Alright, now we're going to learn how to add a song into our worship presentation. So the easiest way is to see if we've done the song before. So we're going to open with Amazing Grace this Sunday. If I look onto our little library of songs that we've had and I scroll up, it's all in alphabetical here. There it is, Amazing Grace. All I have to do is grab it from the library and bring it down into the playlist down here. And then we're not going to use For the Beauty of the Earth, so I can just right click on that and say remove that from the playlist. And now if I look back into my presentation, scroll back and see after the title slides we jump right into Amazing Grace. And there's all of the verses. Now when I look in the bulletin for this week, which I already have open here, I can see that we just want to do verses 1, 2, and 5 this week. Not a problem. We go back to ProPresenter, and this one has all 5 verses. Well, if we're only going to do 1, 2, and 5, we don't want these 2 here to show up. Well, they got a nifty little feature. You don't even have to open up the slides to edit it. You can do it straight from here. I can right-click on it, and there's a choice up here called Disable Slide. So it won't delete that slide, it just grays it out. So when we're running our presentation, it won't show verse 3 or verse 4. I'm going to do that to that one too. Now next time I bring this in, I might say, well, I do want those. Well, no problem. I just right click on it and I'd say enable the slide, and it comes right on back. So there we are. That's how we have verses 1, 2, and 5 of a song. Now let's say, well, that's fine and dandy, Rob, but I happen to know that we don't have all of these songs in here. And that's true, because later in the service we are going to be doing another song, Just As I Am, Without One Plea, and we do not have that in our library yet, so let's get it. The way we do that is we use our nifty feature called Song Select. You can also create a new song presentation and type in all the words, but 99 times out of 100 this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to Song Select, and it's going to open it up, and then you type in what you want. So it's going to be Just As I Am, and we'll just type it in without one plea. Search on it, and there they all come up, all the choices. Now typically what you want to do is to make sure what's the version that's in our hymnal. So you look around, where is it, where is it? Ah, there it is, the blue one. So that was hymn number, we can look back in our bulletin here, it was hymn number 370. So my handy assistant here is looking up number 370. You won't always have a handy assistant, but it's always good to have one. So there it is, and there's all the words, and you just kind of want to make sure that if someone does this from the hymnal, it's going to match what they see on the big screen. So we look at the words here, and we start looking at these different versions. First of all, we can see this one is by Elliott and Bradbury, and when we look up here, we can see Elliott and Bradbury. I just hold it over it, and it pops up and shows me the rest of what's not showing. So if I click on this, it gives me a handy-dandy preview. Just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou biddest me to come to thee. Then we start looking on here, and we say, well, is that about what we've got here? But that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou biddest me come to thee. And sure enough, that's what's there. And we'll want to check all the other verses, of course, when we do this. But we go ahead and we say, let's import that. All right? So we hit import, and then it's going to say, all right, you want to do this in the form of a song. Use that's the template is a default template. You never really mess with this. And it's going to come in, and the slide is going to be deleted by paragraph break. I mean, you can get this such that it will, every line of the song is a new slide, but we don't really want that. You could have it put multiple paragraphs on one slide. We don't want that. Typically a paragraph is like a verse. So we go ahead and we say import all. And then we can say, alright, now it's finished. Let's get rid of song slide. And there's our song. And there it is. Now this has 6 verses, and the one that we sing in our church only has 4. So you got to figure out which ones are are the ones that we have, and which ones are the ones that they. And sometimes they even put it in a different order. So the second verse is the one that says, though tossed about with many where's that one at? Though tossed about. It's way over here in verse 5. But so we know we want that really to be up here. To show up second. And if you want to get all technical, you can change these labels by right-clicking on them and changing the group label to be verse 2 instead of verse 5. I mean, that's for the really ambitious and good on doing these things. But so you're going to set up all these, check them with the hymnal, make sure it matches up. The one that is not in here is, I believe, let's see, we have, and waiting not. This one is not in there, so you can delete it or you can just disable it. I would go ahead and delete it because we're not going to sing it ever. It's not in our hymnal. Boom, you're gone. Someone might disagree with that decision, but hey, I'm the one driving today. All right, so, and then the other one that is not is this one, just as I am poor, wretched, blind. I do not believe that's one of the ones that we have in our hymnal. So once again, nice of you to come to the party, but we're going to have to ask you to leave. And there's our 4 verses that match up within the hymnal, and we have that now in our library. So I know that that song comes right after the sermon, so I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to drag it down and put it just after the sermon. And boom, now it's in our playlist. So when I click on it here, I can go into the playlist, and I can see it right after the sermon right there. And we could go through and edit it just like we did the other slides that we looked at. That's the basics of getting a song into the presentation.